They locked every dollar I had because of their mistake. For over a month, I couldn't touch my own money, and every time I called, they treated me like garbage. Even hinting that my foreign last name made me suspicious. But here's the thing they never expected. For just $3, I unleashed a storm that completely destroyed their reputation online, and forced the bank's call center manager to personally beg me to take my money back. And yes, I got every cent plus compensation within hours. I used to believe that smaller, local banks were more personal, more human, more trustworthy. That's exactly why, a few months ago, I decided to open an account with a tiny local credit union instead of sticking with a big corporate bank. I thought I was doing the right thing, supporting a small community institution, giving the underdog a chance, and at first, everything seemed fine. The staff smiled, they knew customers by name. The building smelled like cheap cinnamon air freshener and the carpets looked like they hadn't been replaced since the 90s. But, it had charm. Until the day everything changed. It was a rainy Tuesday morning. One of those mornings where everything already feels heavy and inconvenient. I stopped by an ATM outside the branch to pull out cash. But instead of spitting out bills, the screen blinked angrily and said, "Transaction error. Contact bank." Great. I walked inside, drenched from the storm, dripping water onto their fake wood floor. A teller with a permanent frown waved me over like she was already bored with my existence. I explained calmly that the ATM wasn't working and she said, in the most dismissive voice possible, "Yeah, happens. Use the in-branch withdrawal code." Apparently, the credit union had this system where they could generate a code so a teller could manually deduct money directly from your account. I wasn't asking for a loan, I wasn't begging for special treatment. This was literally an official feature they offered. She typed something, printed out a slip, and I walked out with cash. Easy, right? Wrong. Fast forward a few days. I tried to use my card again. Declined. Tried online banking. Logged out with a message. Account under review. Please contact support. Confused, I called customer service, expecting maybe a security check, something normal. Instead, I was greeted by the coldest, most condescending tone I'd ever heard. "Yes, sir. Your account has been frozen due to suspicious withdrawals and an internal accounting discrepancy. You'll have to wait while we investigate." Suspicious? The transaction they told me to make was suspicious? I told her I never overdrafted. There was no fraud, nothing. But she just repeated the same robotic line. Every call after that got worse. I rolling sighs loud enough to hear through the phone, talking over me, suggesting that maybe because of my last name their system flagged the account. That's when the anger stopped being frustration and turned into something deeper. It was the feeling of being minimized, being treated like you're stupid, being judged for something you can't change. For over a month, they kept every dollar I had locked away. I couldn't pay bills. I couldn't buy groceries without scraping cards together. I was humiliated. And every phone call felt like I was begging, when I was simply asking for my own money. One night, after another useless call where the agent practically laughed at me, I hung up the phone and felt my hands shaking, not from fear, from rage. I sat there staring at my reflection in the black screen of my phone, baggy eyes, jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I whispered to myself, "They think they're untouchable." Not because they were big, they weren't, but because they assumed no one like me had power. And that's when I called my family back home, mostly to vent. Because sometimes you just need someone to say, "You're not crazy. They're wrong." That's when my younger cousin, barely 18 years old, laughed and said, "Why don't you just use the Russian bot farms?" I thought he was joking. But then he explained. There are websites in Russia where regular people earn a few rubles, basically pennies, for posting whatever you want on social media. Real-looking profiles, real engagement, written in real conversational English. And the website even lets you choose the type of accounts. American-looking profiles. Local-looking profiles, business owners' parents. Community members, all you do is upload the comment text and pay per post. And the cost? 1 ruble per post. For reference, 1 ruble approximately equals 1 US cent. My cousin said, "Spend a few dollars, they won't know what hit them." I hesitated. Was this petty? Maybe. Was this fair? Absolutely. because I had tried everything the polite, respectful way and they ignored me. So I grabbed my laptop, opened the site, and typed out a message criticizing their terrible service and describing my experience, focusing on the fact that they froze a customer's money for a month because of their own accounting error. I added variations so the posts wouldn't look identical. I even used AI to generate tone and structure differences. Then I selected 200 posts English language US profile preference total cost $3.42. I hit pay, then launch. Within minutes, their Facebook page started filling up like a digital tidal wave. Why would a bank freeze someone's money without reason? Terrible service, warning to anyone considering joining. If they can't manage a transaction correctly, how can they manage accounts? Calling the state regulator, this is unacceptable. Dozens, then hundreds. Like locusts swarming a field. Every time I refreshed, there were more. People in the comments who had nothing to do with me started piling on, adding their own complaints and frustrations. The bank's star rating plunged. Their social media manager must have been having the worst day of their career. Within a few hours, someone from the bank actually disabled comments entirely. But by then, it was too late. The damage was public. It was loud, it was undeniable. Around 4 p.m. that afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to pick up. A man's voice came on the line, calm, serious, carefully measured. "Hello, this is the customer relations manager from credit union name. I'm calling regarding your account." Suddenly, they were very, very interested in being polite. He said he understood my frustration and assured me that after careful review, all restrictions had been lifted, and they were prepared to transfer my full balance immediately, along with a $50 goodwill compensation, to any bank I wanted. In one day, I got more progress than I had in 30 days of calling. But the best part? He heavily implied that they knew about the social media situation, but also knew they couldn't prove I had anything to do with it. He wanted to end this positively. I almost laughed out loud. The funds hit my new bank account the next morning. Clean break. No apologies from them, but honestly, I didn't need one anymore. The satisfaction wasn't the money. It wasn't even the compensation. It was the moment I finally felt the balance of power shift. When someone who treated me like dirt suddenly spoke like I was royalty. When the people who thought I was small realized I wasn't powerless. And the best twist? I couldn't delete those Russian bot posts if I tried. They're out there forever. That's the bank's problem now. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction. If this story hit home, if you've ever been dismissed or mistreated by someone who assumed you couldn't fight back, hit like, subscribe, and comment. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? I read every comment, and the best stories might become future videos. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay smart, and never underestimate quiet people. It's about balance. It's about standing up when someone tries to silence you. It's about saying, I deserve respect, and I'll fight for it if you don't give it. Small people with no power are only powerless until they decide they're done being quiet. And $3 well spent can change everything.